Hey everyone, my name's Walter and we're back here with a story from Reddit once again. Nice guys are men who act as their own hype man, and all the hype is about how they're the nicest guy you'll ever meet. But they're not really if they're being featured in one of my videos. Well, let's just get started with Nice Guy Story from Reddit. This is perhaps the longest story I've ever seen on Reddit Nice Guy Stories, but there is a lot of evidence to support it. I'm not even sure we'll get through part 1 of 2 today, but we'll see. 4 years of uni with a nice guy. This is a long one. It also mentions death of a classmate, so beware. Edit. I will preface this by saying you don't have to read all this. It is by now a means for me to be able to explain it to people I meet and are interested in the story. Then I don't have to recall everything over and over. Now to explain to you who, this is a guy who you can see at first glance does not have great social skills. Someone who latched onto our group during the first year of uni when nobody knew each other and the friend groups were just starting to form. Many people have different experiences with this man. Let's call him Kevin. And some of what I will write here is accounts from those different people. One of these important people is Cleo. She was in a similar spot as I was with him. An object of his, let's call it desire. Kevin was the kind of nice guy who wanted to be your friend but did not respect that I was in a committed long-distance relationship with my girlfriend at the time. Now please note, both Cleo and I are rather short, of darker skin tone, and of strong and outspoken personality. Something Kevin will compliment me a lot on as time goes on, and it will never stop sounding weird. Kevin was in class with me, and our classes often included group projects that could decide whether or not we passed the semester. So know that I and mostly everyone else in this story wanted to avoid confrontation as much as possible, because you don't want to start drama with someone you may have to work on a really important assignment with. So this is why we were all so nice and patient. That, and we pitied him, because we all honestly suspected Kevin was somewhere on the spectrum and felt bad. But Kevin was a nuisance in the group chat, never ceasing to talk about pedophilia and rape scandals, and pedophilic Silicon Valley businessmen. Whenever there was good news in the world or a company invented something to benefit people, he would always talk it down and get back to the pedophilic Silicon Valley businessmen. Now, we aren't naive. We know most rich people are skeezy as hell, but he is the kind of edgelord who will not let anyone have nice things. Not to mention he just talks about explicit topics, even when we tell him this is not what this group is for. It was literally named Group for Fun Stuff. For fuck's sake, what is so hard to understand about that? You send a picture of your pet into the group chat? He will say how delicious it looks and that he will eat it. Talk about cute animals? Oh, he will murder and eat those fluffy bunnies. Talk about the new Pokemon game? Guess what? He will speak about eating them. Cursing to God because you are frustrated? Well, Kevin will answer saying he is God, and that joke will get old so quickly, and even when you tell him it stops being funny, he keeps making it. And even when an autistic classmate who asked him if he was joking, for genuine clarification, he will insist that he is serious. Whoa, this guy's in college? He acts kind of like a 14-year-old girl from when I was in school. I wonder if he shops at Hot Topic and watches Happy Tree Friends. I think I'd get annoyed pretty quickly if someone was just doing that with everything I said on Discord, though. He is also the kind of guy who will tell someone when they say they do X martial art that X martial art would not work in a fight. My favorite moment was when Cleo defended the girl who said it, saying to Kevin, "Have you done X martial art?" And when he answered no, she just said, "Then shut up." And he was real quiet after that. He also made a lot of sexual jokes towards Cleo, tentacle sex jokes, even said he would buy her the new Borderlands, and she told him not to. He did anyway, but she did not take it. I don't know if he returned it to get a refund or just kept it for himself, but he bought a €60 fucking game for her. We met, I think, twice outside of school with him by this point in time. Oh, also, if you do things with him, he will pressure you to try new things, even when you don't want to, and your boundaries don't matter, because he will just call you not fun and boring. We walked a half hour through a busy-ass crowd during a festival in town, just because he didn't want to go to the fucking pizza place we walked past, because you can have pizza every day. That's so boring. And he made us look for something different, and walk to it, and it wasn't even worth it. That was some of the most mediocre wok I had ever eaten. And don't forget, if you cannot afford anything, he will either, on a good day, threaten to treat you and you just pay the next time, basically forcing a next time upon you now. Or on a bad day, he will just tell you how you are ruining everyone's day because you are the only one not getting anything, because you just don't have the money. He also told me when I confessed that my short haircuts originated from when I was sexually assaulted and I cut my hair short after that, but nowadays my hair is my biggest source of confidence. I made it a good thing. I did that. But he told me that that story is too sad, and that cutting my hair should be because of a good reason. I would like to ask, what the fuck do you want? For me to go back and undo it? This is like Chris Chan levels of being oblivious. Does no one ever tell this guy he should just shut the fuck up if he's going to keep saying stupid things? There's no filter here at all. Oh, remember the girl whose martial art he made fun of? She died later that year. She was one of Cleo's best friends, but Cleo did not wish to go to the funeral. That is just not something she wanted. But Kevin went, and dared to say how he was a better friend to her than Cleo because he went to her funeral, and Cleo did not. Imagine judging people for how they choose to grieve. Eventually he got so bad in the group chat that after several warnings, Cleo, who was the admin, had to kick him for the sake of everyone. We literally voted him out. Thing is, I didn't look in the chat often, so I had no idea till Cleo would tell me about it much later. I was not present for most of his antics in there. So I stuck with him for a while longer after he got kicked. Bad decision. The thing is, after he got kicked, he was done with everyone from the group. He blocked Cleo and refused to speak to them, was hella pouty and whatnot. It was weird. He still hung out with me, because I felt pretty neutral on the situation, because a lot of stuff I just didn't know about. My main problem with him was the ever-frequent argument that because I did not want to hug him most times, and only on some days, made him feel like I did not trust him, that I was hot and cold with him, that he wanted to know how he could make me more comfortable. So I would hug him more. Again, I was in a relationship he was very aware of. Oh great, he's one of those where's my hug kind of guys. I don't think I actually knew someone like that in school, but they seem to show up in these stories a lot. Kevin made my boundaries, and my want not to be touched on most days, about him, that it made him feel bad, so I should be obligated to give him a strategy guide to my feelings. Which, if you know anything about human interaction, people can sense when you do something with the expectation of reward. And the fact that you go in with this mindset is setting you up for failure, Kevin. I did not tell him this, but looking back, I should have. Because one day we walk down the street, Kevin and I, and he tries to put his fucking arm around me, and I step out of it and say, "Whoa there, buddy, no." And you know this air strangling motion you do when you are angry or frustrated? Yeah, he did that, except with his hands on either side of my shoulders, not touching, but strangling the air around me, clenching his teeth, grinning as if it was a joke. When in reality, he was signaling to me that he was getting increasingly frustrated with me being difficult for him. I have to wonder if this guy doesn't understand human interaction, or if he just ignores all the rules to do what he wants. Probably a bit of both, though. I took my distance from this point forward, and then quarantine hit, and he told me how much he missed me. A lot. And when it was over, he asked me to hang out. I declined, again and again and again, and he would not stop trying. Eventually, I met him outside of school again, but only because I was going to the birthday party of a mutual friend. And at this party, as we wash our hands before dinner, he tells me, "I waited an entire year to see you again." And I said, "Please stop saying weird shit like that." And he immediately went super cold and started pulling down the mood of the party with his silent brooding. So I had to inquire into him again, so he got happy like a toddler getting what he wants. Because I am nice to Kevin again, Kevin bothers to be tactful again and not ruin his friend's birthday. Great, he only cares when he gets what he wants. After the party, we wait for our trains, and he asked me if we are still friends, after I declined his request to hang out for the millionth time. And I snapped. Not loudly, I just could not take it anymore. I tried for 3 years of university to be nice, to be cordial, to placate him, just so that I would not have to deal with the awkward drama of being in a classroom with someone I had a bad fallout with. But I did not care anymore. Let it be weird and awkward. Who cares? My mouth did the work for me when, to his question, "Are we still friends?" I answered, "Were we ever?" And that was when my train arrived and I made my exit. This is when these messages start, and believe me, this is only the beginning of the insanity. Okay, so after that little interaction where she finally told him off, something she probably should have done sooner, not victim blaming, but everyone knows this in retrospect, including the author clearly. After this interaction, he starts sending the kind of messages I usually read in my videos. Let's see what a sad sack he acts like. "I guess you are home. Good. I didn't expect that you would give me such a cold answer of that we were never friends. When I asked you if we are still friends, I already had this troubling feeling for the past month that you were actually avoiding me for some reason. And when I was joking in the kitchen at Radu's place that I had to wait for months until we could finally see each other again, thanks to the quarantine and internship, you also gave me a weird answer and said that it was creepy. I always treated you with respect, and never did anything creepy to no one. It did make me realize that you had a 360 degree of attitude towards me for some reason, and that my suspicion was true. That is why I asked that question. I am honestly a bit at a loss what to say, and I don't really get why you treat me like this all of a sudden. Wait, does he mean that she had a 360 degree change of attitude? What do they teach these kids in school nowadays? He is also way too puzzled, when I feel like she gave him plenty of signs most people would notice. She didn't change in attitude, she just decided to stop beating around the bush and tell him off. To me, blank, you were actually my best friend on school, or better said, during these part/years of my life. And yeah, I kind of knew I wasn't yours, since even if we hanged out weekly, you just always looked a bit weird at me, but I thought that was just because you had trouble with trusting man. But it seems it is something different against me. I enjoyed hanging out with you and listening to your stories of yourself and your fantasy world. We hanged out quite a lot in our second year. I liked helping you with stuff and talking about things. I tried to be there when things turned downhill for you. I can give you a whole list of this, but I don't see the point of doing that, since you were there after all. Wow, he's a real wordsmith. So many precious memories. I like this one. I liked helping you with stuff and talking about things. It's also vague. You clearly made some decision alone and tossed me aside like garbage. You didn't even say why. Something I was actually expecting, instead of the that we never were. After almost 4 years of hanging out, since I can't call it friendship, if only I thought it was, it does really hurt me. Honestly, I don't get why even. We could have stayed friends. If you really wanted, you could always just let it diminish with time after we were done with school, and that would be that. I am not really expecting anymore that we are going to hang out anymore like we used to, since I know you, and I know you are really stubborn. I guess if anything at all, I would at least know the reason why you tossed me aside. I think that is only fair towards me. You may notice I censored my name in these. In the last one, he uses the name I am not known by, my legal name, but I am known by a different one to my friends. He did this as a way of dead-naming me, even though that is not why I go by a different name. But it was clear that his intent was to disrespect me in some way or make it hit harder by using my legal name. For the next few screenshots, please remember, I still had to be in a class with this guy, and I still wanted to avoid confrontation as much as possible. So I did take some blame when really there was none, and I had nothing to justify myself for, but I played on just a little bit. Because I wanted the rest of my last year, yes, this was in the beginning of 4th and final year, to be quiet so I could concentrate on my graduation project. I do owe you an honest answer, don't I? The answer is, I don't know. The times we do hang out, I never felt many of my choices were my own. I said yes to things because I wanted to be nice or didn't want you to be hurt, but rarely because I actually wanted to. That is why I wouldn't call it friendship. I never had real reason to dislike you, but also not particularly to like you either. That has always been a thing, and I am sorry that I tried and tried to make excuses for my feelings or try to make it work when the real answer was that it really wouldn't. I should not have done that. But I did, and here I am now. If I had said something earlier, simply said no when I didn't want to in the beginning, then we wouldn't be here. And frankly, I do not understand in the slightest how in the world I was your best friend at school, when all I did was really just tolerate you. I never did anything for you, yet somehow you liked me, and I wasn't sure why, and that made me uncomfortable. Which is not your fault. Frankly, none of this is on you. You are just you, and I just don't vibe with you, and that is the only way I can explain it. And I should have realized it and put an end to it earlier, instead of testing it over and over, because I just didn't want to say I don't like you. Because you gave me no reason to dislike you, and clearly wanted to be my friend, but I just don't vibe with you. And that's just how it is. Friendship cannot be forced, and sometimes it ends up being one-sided. It's weird I didn't want to say this and hurt you, but by lying and trying, I hurt you so much more. And that's on me. I'm sorry I did that. Yeah, it is pretty jarring watching her apologize profusely to the guy who kept touching her. Women have it rough with these nice guys sometimes. I think I'll cover his immediate response and then call this part 1. Let the pity party commence. Well, it is a really bitter pill hearing your answer. It does make me feel even more hollow than I already am. God fucking damn, why does life suck so much all the time? Anyway, thanks for answering my question. I honestly mean it, thanks. I know it is probably hard for you as well. I didn't know you felt forced, and you apparently didn't enjoy talking and laughing with me. Well, like I said, to me you were my bestie. I listened to all your million of stories, and basically knew your whole life and stuff, and we hanged basically at some point daily out, but apparently you were just testing me for some reason. I thought we actually had a nice vibe between us, and that we could laugh about a lot of things, and agree on a lot of things, to the point that you even were phrasing my sentences. It does bring me great sorrow that our friendship has to end like this. Did I try too hard of being your friend? I don't know anymore. Sorry for making you feel uncomfortable, or awkward, or whatever around me at those times. You know, blank, I still feel like there is something you are not telling. Did I do something wrong? Or is it something I did? Or is it just because I am me? Because that one seems to do the magic trick for some reason with a bunch of people? This is author's notes, by the way. I was not testing you. I was tolerating you. What to you was hangouts or tests or whatever were me living close to school, and the mall was on the way home for me. So if I was getting lunch or running errands, I would just let you tag along, because the mall is a public space. I cannot tell you can't fucking go. It sounds like she might have been the only person who even was tolerating him at this point. Pretty sad, but it's his fault. If you don't feel like answering that, fine. Then I will just do it with the answer I got, I guess. It was a good time, the time we hanged out. I, for one, did enjoy it. Sorry to hear you apparently never did. You will always be my friend, blank, even if I never yours. I will miss you, small stuff. Okay, well, anyway, I think I'll cut this off here and call it part 1. Well, part 1 of part 1. In the next episode, we get more whining over messages, and then he starts drawing pictures of her. I am not joking, it's creepy as hell. Make sure you check out part 2 when it comes out, which will hopefully be sometime this week. But that is about all the time I have for you today. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say about the story, or about my content in general, let me hear it in the comments. I'll be reading them while the video's new. Honestly, the only reason I don't respond to old comments is because I don't remember my videos. I've made hundreds of them. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more of the same, and the sequel to this, of course. And big thanks to my awesome patrons who help support me over on Patreon. It's been a massive help, especially this month. So yeah, I'll be back with the next part as soon as I can. Have a great day, everyone, and where's my hug? No hug for me?